Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special Q&A session for our upcoming course, Becoming a Shining One, with Don Oscar Miro-Quesada. It is my joy and honor to be here hosting this Q&A call for the Shift Network, where we can explore the teachings of Peruvian healer, psychologist, and author Don Oscar Miro-Quesada and address questions that you may have about his upcoming 12-week course, Becoming a Shining One, which begins Wednesday, September 5th. Later on, I will explain how you can participate in this course, even if you can't attend the live sessions. But first, I want to introduce our guest. Don Oscar Miro-Quesada Solevo is a respected Kamasca curandero and Alto Misayoc adept from Peru. He is founder of the Heart of the Healer and originator of the Pachacuti Mesa tradition cross-cultural shamanism. He's an internationally acclaimed shamanic teacher and healer, earth-honoring ceremonialist, and he's been guiding ethno-spiritual pilgrimages to sacred sites of the world since 1986, with special emphasis on Peru and Bolivia. He is a popular faculty member here at the Shift Network and at educational centers around the United States and abroad, dedicating his life to the revitalization of Aboriginal wisdom traditions as a means of restoring sacred trust between humankind and the natural world. His ceremonial work and shamanic apprenticeship programs have been featured on Sounds True, CNN, Univision, A&E, Discovery Channel, and the History Channel. Now, in just a few minutes, we're going to open up for your questions, but first, I want to welcome Don Oscar, who will begin our call by sharing an invocation and opening our space. Welcome, Don Oscar.
Yushelpaiki, sirena linda. Napakuyaiki runakunap suyakuning. Tiyayukui ukupi songkopa. Kanchak huk niyuk nyokaiku aing ruwaikuna. Pakarishka kausaimanta. Sami songkoimanta. Kanchaimanta. Sami umay manta, iya nunay manta, hunyukunung hinaya. May you receive this invocation in the soul generative language of my people of the highlands of Peru, the Runa or Quechua people. Their language being a code of light, a sound and a vibrational frequency that when taken into the heart, allows one's innate divinity, one's luminous body to awaken and to reclaim its rightful place within their human earthwalk. This is what it means to be shining ones. And loosely translated, the Quechua invocation that I offered says the following. Welcome into my heart. Greetings, hope of the people. Our Shining One right action with vital life force, with animating emotional essence, with light energy, with animating mind essence, and with an empowered, flourishing soul, unites, brings together, harmonizes, and anchors within the earth plane the fulfillment of our prophecies that all humans shall soon recognize their light nature, that they are radiant beings able to transform and inform the three-dimensional reality that surrounds us with a much higher vibrational frequency, sourced from unlimited love, reverence, and selfless service to the great hoop of life beyond the 7 generations. And this is my fondest dream and my fondest prayer, to welcome you all into the field of initiatory evolutionary awareness that becoming a shining one is about. So thank you, Amy. Thank you, the Shift Network, and thank you all for showing up on this good day. I'm open to be a friendly holographic projection and reflect back to you whatever answers to your questions may best serve your own soul's restoration. Love you all.
Oh, thank you so much, Don Oscar. What an exquisite opening to this time together. Now, we have the rest of the hour to take your questions as we are preparing for this upcoming course, Becoming a Shining One. This will be a 12-week shamanic initiation into the ancestral healing practices of Peru. Once again, that begins Wednesday, September 5th. Now, if at any time during this call you want to learn more, please visit shiningonecourse.com to see the full description of this 12-week adventure. So if you have questions that you would like to ask, please go ahead and type them in wherever you are, and I would be happy to read them out. So Don Oscar, we have many questions coming in already. Thank you, everyone. So this question was asked anonymously. And the question is, how do we maintain an awareness of our own imaginative life, i.e. what we are putting out there into the world, and be present with others, that is, engage in reality? Does this require some kind of split focus?
It does if you, my dearest sister who asked the question, needs to separate your perception of this three-dimensional realm we call the Kaipacha, the middle world, from your dreaming, from your imaginative, from your visionary realm. Now, ultimately, there'll come a time in your own evolution as a soul in which that type of separation or keeping distinct, whether it's an internal reality from an external reality, or whether it's a shamanic visionary state from a basic conversation at your neighborhood Starbucks, it all depends on your own comfort level. And by this, I mean that be gentle with yourself and know that ultimately everything merges together. All of our capabilities, all of our untapped human potentials, everything ranging from clairvoyance and clairsentience and clairaudience and psychokinesis and the ability to affect the material world with our thoughts, and the ability to extend our intention in healing service in an absentee manner out to others. All of these innate human potentials that are now dormant are in the process of becoming awakened on a global scale. So it's very important to be associated with a group of people that are already tapped in to the ancient tools and traditions and especially ritual practices that cultivate that reality, that awareness that we are much more than what we have been told we are in this current postmodern age. And to answer your question in a simple way, would you consider that when a bird sings in the morning, it worries about whether that song is going to be understood by the tree that houses its body? Or is it a very natural response to just sing? I suggest that don't separate anything. Just be it all. Be the light that absorbs all other colors. Be a shining one. And no separation on any level of human experience will be required for your comfort to walk this earth and still function within the demands of a societally imposed consensus reality. That is my answer.
Brilliant. Thank you, Don Oscar, and thanks for the question. I have another question here from Forrest. Forrest says, knowing that there are many unique ancestral spiritual practices globally, what steps can someone take to best determine which spiritual path best aligns with someone's true essence, given that family ancestors and past lives are influential?
Whatever makes you feel like you've come home, my good brother. In other words, you'll know immediately when you meet somebody, the moment if you have an opportunity to give them a hug, whether they let you in and you feel taken fully for who you are into their heart space and feel this familiarity as if it's safe to be with that person. Or, contrary, you could hug somebody that is like a steel door and has all these layers of armor up, and you feel like there's a cold surface against which your body makes contact. And you know, well, this is not something I want to hang out with for much longer. So you decide not to befriend that person and make them part of your family. It's either spiritual or otherwise. Now, in similar fashion, when you are exposed to a spiritual tradition, a psycho-spiritual modality, any type of practice, sadhana, whether it be shamanic or yoga or whatever, you're going to know immediately, based on the first time you practice one of the designated breathing techniques of that particular path, or hold an image or sustain a vision of what one of the spirit allies or the pantheon or the very populated realm of deities are, with some Eastern traditions especially, that whether these deities are going to be felt as they are also part of your internal rich imaginative life. So approach every path with an open heart. Let it in. Feel it. If you experience peace, and then you experience passion, interest, excitement, and most important, enthusiasm, follow that path, learn about it, get to know it. If not, don't waste your time. And most important is the community of practitioners that are associated with every path that is out there. Check out what their consciousness is like, and especially their ability to teach love by the way they live, to be the embodiment of the most powerful healing force in the world, which is true, unlimited, unhindered, munai, love, compassion, and caring. Enjoy the ride. May you find your way to our community. Highly.
Thank you, Don Oscar. I can feel the embrace of our Pachacudi Mesa tradition community just opening arms and extending open their hearts. We are blessed with an incredible community, both online and scattered across the planet in this that is really been nurtured by these courses. So I am very grateful and looking forward to rejoining that when we start again next week. I have a couple of questions here that have been submitted by various people throughout the week that I'm just going to lump together because there's a theme, folks. So the question essentially is, how do I gain greater insight into my injuries or ailments? And can this course help with that?
First of all, welcome your injuries and ailments fully into your experience of being, even if they are painful, which is often the case. That discomfort is a doorway. That discomfort, that dis-ease or dissonance, that state of unwholeness is a message to you to start to explore areas in your life in which you feel more and more whole, whatever those may be. So use your illness as a mentor. We understand in the Kamasca tradition of northern coastal Peru that there are two types of illness, illnesses of God and illnesses of harm. Illnesses of God are those illnesses that are biological and often systemic in their debilitating effects on the entire organism. In other words, cancer, immune deficiency disorders, multiple sclerosis, things of that nature that have a gradual degenerative breaking down effect on the entire organism. With those illnesses, we learn to enter into an objective other dialogue. We have techniques in which we help the person communicate, name the illness, baptize it, give it a name that is not the conventional nomenclature that is assigned by allopathic medicine to these diseases, but a name that you can relate to. Often it is the name of a person. And then begin to ask it questions. What is your purpose in my life? How can I best allow you to fulfill your purpose and then go on your way, because you are an uninvited guest and I no longer need to grow and evolve from having you in my life. And you enter into a dialogue and you keep a journal, and that helps very much soften the resistance of the sufferer to the cause of the suffering. It is a very effective technique. And of course, that is complemented by the use of various botanicals to attenuate the physical discomforts and other things that accompany, including pain, these types of systemic disorders. Then with illnesses of harm, is the full range of psychoneuroses that you hear talked about in psychology and psychiatry, and that also have an etiology that is outside of the modern understanding. We understand illnesses of harm, which are the full range of stress disorders, including obsessive compulsive and certain types of depersonalization due to phobias and things of that nature. We understand that those are due to harm, and by harm we mean daño, an outside energy that is constantly impinging upon the individual to weaken them so that a lower astral presence can move in and take residence within that individual psyche and body. In that sense, it requires an extraction and a shamanic intervention to be able to tease that entity or that presence out of the person's lived experience and send it on its way, or give it as Mihushanku, as ritual feeding, to the Uhupacha, to the lower world, so that nothing is wasted, that even the most negative interpreted experiences are food for those less developed denizens that reside within the deep interior lower realms. So our pain, our suffering, our illness, our disease is medicine for lower or lesser evolved spiritual beings. So think of your illness, if it's one of harm, if it's one that is of a psychological or emotional rather than biological or physiological nature, as medicine for the spirit world that needs, through your offering of your illness, by eating it, by consuming it, they become more and more human. And eventually you are being of service to the evolution of those lesser evolved beings. Now, I give you all of this as a quite extensive and expanded overview to just plant this very simple seed. Hopefully what I spoke before is a fertile ground for you to be in charge of your choice, to remember yourself as whole, as complete, as enough, even in the midst of your pain, even in the midst of your illness. You are now perfect in the blessings of this exact moment. If you can receive the words I speak and feel them, even feel an inkling of truth in what I'm saying, you now have tapped into the power of your luminous self, of your shining one nature. And as such, you can dissolve everything that is not whole, everything that keeps you from feeling free, liberated, and transcendent as a two-legged on earth. So, to your wholeness, I celebrate. Highly.
Oh, what a blessed reorientation on negativity, so that we really find that it can be fodder for growth. I hope that speaks to some of your questions, those of you who are asking about how to handle so-called negative energy. I would like to bring up Roderick's question. He takes us in a slightly different direction. He's wondering, do shamans encounter evil as well as wise guides on their journeys?
It all depends on what you need as a soul, my good brother Robert. You know, every soul needs a different type of teacher. Evil, yeah. Wise guys, yeah. There's a full range of different denizens that are pesky little pests. If you yourself still have some shadow work that you have been unwilling to engage in and confront your own demons and dragons from childhood abuse or some other dysfunctional situations that may have been part of your formative years that you bring into your adulthood, and then they crystallize in certain adversaries and enemies out there. Now, in the shamanic traditions, we have many tools and techniques to help with that type of thing. Although, depending on the multiverse that you choose to identify with as a soul, you can, have an adversary, an evil one, or not. Sometimes they're important to do battle with for us to grow. Sometimes they're not necessary. We all get to a place where the only source of something other than self, capital S, is light, is radiance. And even that, when we wake up really to who we are, becomes one and the same as the I am that is shared by both as one. So, it's your choice who to hang out with. And granted, many of us haven't realized that yet. The tools and techniques that you're going to learn in this Becoming a Shining One course are specifically derived from these ancestral traditions to address issues of this nature. Like even the sister that had the question before on illness and disease, with Gausai, for instance, the elemental earth energy that we learn to use, we can strengthen the body to withstand the ravages of a physical disease. And with illnesses such as what you're bringing up, confrontation with some adversarial or threatening beings in our psyches that visit us in dream time or even in our visionary work, using kanchai, light energy, and knowing how to tone that particular word and deliver its vibrational frequency into the crown of the person helps clear the air so that one's discernment of these non-ordinary realms of consciousness that are inhabited by these threatening beings become a fair playing ground in which you can step into and, if necessary, do battle with that evil visitor, or simply look at them in the eyes and say, you're just an extension of a part of me that was once necessary, but now you have fulfilled your service. Thank you. I am now fully light energy. So bye-bye. I hope this answers your question, my good brother.
Oh, exquisite. Thank you. So I have a question here from Kim, and you sort of already addressed this, but we'll get into the specifics. I think there's an enormous opportunity for people coming out of this course with all of the healing techniques that you'll be sharing and demonstrating. And Kim has this question. If I become luminous, can I help my teenage son with the mental and emotional pain that he suffers?
You are luminous, good sister. And embodying your innate divinity as light, whoever is in your presence will benefit. Now, aside from embodying fully your innate divinity as light, there are certain other healing energies associated with Peruvian shamanic lineage that I'm been apprenticed in that I'll be sharing. And in the case of your son's turmoil that is of a mental nature or a psychological nature, using what's known as Sami Umai, which is mind animating essence, that has a vibrational frequency when you deliver it into the brow or seventh thoracic of an individual to attenuate and relax the drunken monkey mind, the stinking thinking, the busy, unruly, mastermind. As you know, there's a saying that the mind is a terrible master but a wonderful servant. By using Sami Umai and delivering its vibrational frequency into the pituitary and the seventh thoracic and many of the neuroendocrine functions that are taking place and a lot of the biochemical imbalances that are also associated with conditions such as your son's of extraordinary stress and disorganized thinking, all of that starts to order itself to find a balance. And with time, after a few treatments, after a few deliveries, exposing them to other medicine-enhancing influences, such as chimes and bells or gongs or singing bowls, that type of sound, together with exposing themselves to sunlight, to full spectrum lighting, to developing a relationship with Inti Taita, with Father Son, outdoors, to be able to also sustain within their heart an image of themselves as the sun. and various other medicine-enhancing techniques, even using a pendulum, for instance, and willing the rotation of that pendulum to be clockwise, sealing, bonding, harmonizing, containing, holding together that unruly thinking, that psychic space that has gone awry. All of these tools are available together with your recognition that you are an instrument of light, a shining one. So it's a complementary path. Being light influences others to awaken to their own light, and then channeling that light through shamanic tools and techniques will just amplify the impact of your intrinsic luminous nature. I hope this helps.
Oh, thank you, Don Oscar. Speaking of channeling light, have a question here from Rachel. She says, is it normal to have a sensation of something powerful like lightning striking the forehead several times? I can't find answers to this anywhere.
Well, Rachel, it sounds to me like you're having a little nudge from good old Kundalini, spirit goddess, wanting to wake you up to higher levels of awareness. Now, lightning strike is a classic shamanic initiation, a way of shamanic initiation because there's the strike, and then there's this dismemberment, and then there's the reconstitution and being brought back up into life at a higher level of being. So being struck by lightning often does mark a shamanic adept, somebody who has been chosen. Now, when you feel these shocks of light within your brow, when you're meditating, you must use your breath to align them so that they become concentrated into an orb. You need to try to will them to become like an internal sun that fills your body and dissolves the outline of your body so that you become that the brilliance of the lightning, which is almost as brilliant as the sun's plasma, that needs to dissolve your entire being. After that, the shocks won't come to you like they have been, like in the form of Shakti, which is a spontaneous release of Kundalini, or what we call of Kanchai, so of light energy. Yet, despair not. It's all part of the game. It's all part of the process. You're not under any harm. Just learn to go ahead and own your own power and ability to make the lightning strike the ray into a sun, into a source of light that you sustain in vision in your higher mind and allow it to imbue the entirety of your physical vehicle, dissolving it so that you become the sun itself, known as an Intik Churikuna, a child of the sun.
Now, everything that Don Oscar was just speaking about, he will, of course, go into greater detail about in the course, because each module is focused on a specific direction. And so he will open up these elements and allow us to go deeply within and without, exploring our relationship with these entities and how they can be used for healing both ourselves, our communities, and our planet. Don Oscar, there's a question here from Jackie, and I know she's not alone in this question. She says, I am a healer and it's a gift, but I find it difficult to heal my own body. Why is that?
In the same way that it's difficult for you to be the doctor or psychologist or midwife to a family member. You're too close to yourself. And it's not unusual. There's a feedback loop in all energy medicine work. And there has to be a precise structure, what do you call it? A scaffolding that holds the architecture of your bioetheric body in place. So and that's easily done when we learn how to apply these healing energies, like we're going to be doing in this apprenticeship series, for another. It's easily done for another. Yet when you are applying the energies on yourself, which is also what you'll be learning, there seems to be a lag time. There's a separation, what we call in Gamasca desfase, a disphase of delivery and receiving. So that little temporal moment, that hiatus between the healing energy that's coming through you into the particular area or aperture in the body where it's supposed to be delivered, either for physical, for emotional, for spiritual, for psychological, or for soul integration, there's like a little short circuit. And depending on how comfortable you are with accepting yourself as the pure source of healing itself, it will not impact the entire neuroendocrinological or psycho-emotional system that we are dealing with. So you're not alone in this situation. What I can offer you, though, is this, that within your continued effort to heal yourself, aside from just using psycho-spiritual techniques, shamanic techniques, you need to do things that are very, very simple, that probably are out of the ordinary realm of your activities, such as find a good flotation tank service somewhere and do some suspended animation and float and relieve yourself of gravity, of the forces of gravity as much as possible. Also, allow yourself to be pampered by a spiritually based body worker that is able to touch the areas of your body that you feel most vulnerable. So a lot of these sensorial experiences to soften the impact of the illness that is not yielding to your own delivery of healing will help immeasurably. And so once your field is softened and opened, then it'll be much better for you to be able to affect the deep cellular and subatomic changes that are occurring. Because understand, we're working with vibrational frequencies that are equal to many of the quantum subatomic particles and wave fields that are occurring, as well as the more macrocosmic unified forces that permeate our cosmos. All scales of phenomena are being addressed as energy, as light, through a labor of love. So that's my suggestion. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Don Oscar. I have another question here that has come in from a few different people looking for some clarity. Here, I'll just take this section of a question from Marisol. She says, can you speak to the role of women in the shamanic path and the importance of the sacred feminine in partnership with the divine masculine in this shift and important times in this path?
Marisol, 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 mar y sol, ocean and sun. What a delicious combination, male and female. Fire and water. You've got it all. You, in your name alone, and tu bautismo, en tu citación, you have the medicine answer to the question that you ask. That said, there is not one person who's awake to their spiritual nature on this planet that doesn't realize that the reemergence of a goddess culture is at hand on this planet. That the patriarchy has done its job, left its mess, and the women, as usual, are the only ones capable of cleaning it up. I hate to say this, but it's the truth. So there is an extraordinary need, and this is the reason why there are so many women in these classes in comparison to the amount of men that sign up, and because they are so much more sensitive, they are relational, they are able to feel and engage in empathy and extend themselves into another person's life experience much more effortlessly than men can, because men are still a little bit more armored in their approach to letting them be seen as sensitive enough to truly be able to feel the pain, the hardship, the struggle, as well as the bliss, the joy, and the ecstasy of another. They're more afraid that they will lose themselves and not be the man that they are anymore. Women love to take on other people's experiences. It's part of the story. It's part of the great myth of the goddess. It's part of giving birth to a new world, to a new life, to children that are full of potential to make this world a better place. And yes, when a male and a female, a man and a woman come together and share that same passion for being a united, equal force field for the emergence of soul restorative living on this planet, as is the shamanic traditions of the world, as are the shamanic traditions of the world, it becomes an extraordinarily powerful catalyst, and it will reach the hearts, minds, bodies, souls, and most importantly, the spiritual yearning, the spiritual hunger of humankind like no other source of healing can. So yes, my beloved, your question was answered by your name, and I agree wholeheartedly with you. Your time has come, goddess. Your time have come, goddesses. It's here now. In our own tradition of Peru, although the Kamasca and Paco traditions were predominantly male, more and more you are seeing women healers take their rightful place among the legions of famed maestros and maestras of these arts. And it's the same all over the world, and I am so grateful for that. Thank you for your question.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Don Oscar. For those of you who would like to learn more about how all of these ideas are going to be used and how you can apply them, please surf over to shiningonecourse.com, and there's a beautiful breakdown of how Don Oscar will lead us through these different healing attributes so that we can really rise into our place as healers for each other and for the world and for those we know. There are so many questions here. I'll do my best to get to as many as I can. There's a few questions here about how to communicate with spiritual protectors from various spiritual lineages. And I'll just add to that, can shamanic ritual incorporate Hinduism? So maybe you can speak to the cross-cultural nature of your teachings, Don Oscar.
Certainly. And first, I'd like them to take a little look at what is behind me. And if you notice, I know it's a bit far away, but that is called a banco curandero, or an altar mayor. And it is an altar ground that is all inclusive of deities and spiritual helpers from the entire tradition of shamanic and hermetic wisdom lineages of this planet. The Pachacuti Mesa tradition of cross-cultural shamanism is inclusive, adaptive, and extremely respectful of whatever source of wisdom and healing guidance can complement and amplify its service as a catalyzer of evolutionary light on Earth. Every being that has been given form, whether it's an anthropomorphic being, a zoomorphic being, a pure energy being, a tree, a seed, a blade of grass, or a departed ancestor that still visits us in our dreaming, they are all helpers, every single one of them. The important thing is to learn the techniques on how to introduce them into their new home, into the altar ground that you have, the proper way of feeding them, of singing songs to them, of offering sweet aromas and other forms of delicious nectar to allow their own soul animated consciousness to rejoice, blossom, and flower, and attract their other friends. And little by little, you will see that there is a coalescence of relationships from various levels, from the natural world, from our animal relative kingdoms, from the celestial hierarchies, from the ancestral hermetic or mystery school traditions of the Middle East and the Mediterranean and the European alchemical tradition, and the Eastern philosophies, as well as schools of wisdom with all of their Buddhas and other deities, as well as the ancient shamanic beings that initiated all of those other schools of spiritual practice. Because shamanism is the original connector of our spirit denizens, of the multiverse of beings, of intelligences that are wiser than us in many cases. And shamanism is the first system that learned through ecstatic trance to welcome them as guiding lights in the service of that shaman, and allow them to even sometimes take over the shaman in order to be able to impart their power to another to restore health to that person. So after that, all of the other offsprings, starting with Neo-Pythagorean and Egyptian Hermetic traditions and all of the ancient Vedic traditions and the Sumerian traditions and all of the different, the pantheon of gods and goddesses in the Greco-Roman world, all of those are offsprings of that originating shamanic impulse to befriend a very populated, soul-animated multiverse, which is really our home. And all of that eventually becomes unified, constellated into oneself. And what helps to be able to deliver those many parts of oneself out in the specific healing services, to have representations of those deities as you see in this altar behind me. So when I call upon one of them because they have a specific story or a specific history of healing a particular condition or being of help to the evolution of a particular person, I will send them in my vista, in my inner vision, out to that person, sing a song while they're going, or just in silent quietude, in prayer, see that healing service being enacted by that being that I have a little statue of, working their magic in the life of another. It's a little long and roundabout answer, but I hope that this elucidates a bit about how much fun and how entertaining being able to open up your psyche, expand your mind, open your heart, and relax your body into this world that is the real thing. It's, when you look behind the veil, my beloveds, that's what you find.
And it's going to be an incredible 12 weeks. We have a few more minutes left here, and we will get to one or two more questions, but I want to take a moment and just really speak to your course for a moment, Oscar. So I mentioned it's going to be 12 weeks, and will be under the expert guidance of your friendly holographic projection in the form of Don Oscar Miro-Quesada, and we'll access the power of non-ordinary states. We will learn shamanic practices and learn to work with lots of healing tools, both for ourselves and for others. And it's a very embodied practice that has the potential to transform your life. Now, if that sounds like a heavy bill for an online course, I want you to know that we really are here. This course is supported by 6 sanctioned teachers in the Pachacuti Mesa tradition lineage who are available during the live calls and on the Facebook community group, which is a private group. So, and of course, Don Oscar and his incredible partner, Cindy, will be present in the course to support you, to guide you, to answer your questions, and hold space as we move through these transitions. The 12-week course takes place on Wednesdays at noon Pacific. That starts Wednesday, September 5th at noon. And if for any reason you can't join us live, you really won't miss the teachings. You'll receive an audio and video replays. Every class in this course will be on video. So you'll have those recordings available. And of course, transcripts will be provided for all the courses. There's also an incredible text for this course, so lots of reading and support materials so that you can really engage this work at the level that you're called to. I also want to remind you that we offer a no-risk money-back guarantee on our courses so that you have a full 2 weeks, in this case until September 19th, to try it and make sure you absolutely love it. And we would can't wait to explore that. Now, for those of you who are brand new to this tradition and don't have a mesa and hardly know what that word means, as soon as you register, you'll get instant access to a introduction to the Pachacuti Mesa video. So it's a video tutorial that accompanies an incredible handout called the Pachacuti Mesa Tradition Basics. So if you are brand new, that's where you start. And in fact, you'll need to have that mesa ready to go by the time we have our first class. But as soon as you sign up, that video is there and you can get started bringing your beloved rocks and that stray feather that you just couldn't put down all into place and create beauty in your home. Now, in addition to the 12 classes and everything that I just mentioned, we also have an incredible bonus collection. I mentioned that video that you get already. There's also the Pachacuti Mesa Basics Toolkit, which includes a Quechua terminology guide. So if you are a language lover or find that you really need that orientation piece, it is there for you. And also there's an audio guide that will help you get the toning of the directions so that you can open your sacred space wherever you are. There is also what we call the Wisdom Guide, which is a compilation of every question and answer that has been asked by students over the past 4 years of courses here at the Shift Network. And so it's an incredibly rich guide of everything you might want to know. I see that some people asked about existing mesas and how do I incorporate that and what do I do if I travel? And everything is there. It's available for you as soon as you register. There is also a collection of foundational journeys. So if you would like to expand or explore journey work, those are available for you right there on the course homepage. And there's also a very beautiful video dialogue between Don Oscar, Dr. David Steinhorn, and Jana Din, where they talk about using indigenous healing approaches to guide patients and families in making difficult medical decisions. It's a very inspiring video, and I highly recommend it. Now, if you register by tonight at midnight, you will also receive an audio dialogue between Don Oscar and Mirabai Starr. And that is titled An Initiated Life, Finding Wholeness in Dismemberment. Really an incredible, heart-opening, rich dialogue about the power of death and grief in life. Now, I will get to one other question, but before I do so, Don Oscar, what are you most looking forward to sharing in this upcoming course?
The truth that we are able to invoke, evoke, and decree the assistance of unseen energies for harmonizing and restoring health to our physical vehicles, our emotional vehicles, our spiritual vehicles, our mental vehicles, and most importantly, our soul ground of being. It is my life's dharma to be able to turn people on to feeling the different vibrational frequencies, the energetic differences between vital life force, kanchai or kausai, and light energy, ganchai, for physical and spiritual harmonization. And the more we become sensitive to these subtle energies, the more we're going to revolutionize our experience as humans on Pachamama's sacrosanct body. To that effect, I'd like to just share a little quote by Nikola Tesla that some of you may have heard before. And it goes like this: the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Energy, frequency, and vibration. This is who we as humans are destined to become, to manage, and to use in healing service to life as a whole. This is what is so exciting for me, that this course actually is a hands-on initiation into the Peruvian-derived Camasca and Paco lineages applied to contemporary understanding of how these energies interact with ourselves and with the universe as a whole. That's where I'm at.
Fantastic. I can hardly wait till next week. So we have many questions, and one that I think kind of summarizes it. First, just thank you all for all of your questions. Know that there is, again, incredible support for all of your inquiries if you're able to sign up for the course, and we are here for you and ready. A lot of people have reported that when they have grown towards the light and followed their enlightenment, that things get worse, that their symptoms get worse, or they encounter, bad people robbing their house or things like this. And also this question, why is there so much resistance to healing? Perhaps you can speak to the process.
Well, the first part of the question I heard, yet I just don't feel a resonance with that. When we start to expand beyond our physicality, that we all of a sudden attract challenging conditions in which misfortune befalls upon us. I've not experienced that myself, and I don't want to even establish that as a foundation for this work. On the contrary, the less you're attached to light, isn't attached to anything. Light is just purely an expression of divinity, of source. It is the language of source. Nothing can go ahead and react to light in a way that uses it to create death, to create misfortune, to create, problems or crises in one's life. On the contrary, because even if something does, for some unknown reason, because of your karmic, destiny that you need to bring back into balance, and your house is robbed or your car breaks down as a result of doing this type of work, it has nothing to do with the evolution that you're attaining. It has simply to do with a payback on your own when you were still unconscious in your choices and did not offer proper aini, or sacred reciprocity, to Pachamama for her bounty. So I'd like to just make that clarification. Now, the second part, all I can say is this. Close your eyes, bring your awareness to your breath, exhale all the air from your lungs. Very good. Relax your body. Release all resistance to the perfection of blessings of this present moment, and receive. Beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it's no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity. Nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not. A Course in Miracles. Kanchak Hukniyuk. This is the experience of being a shining one, initiated into the healing energies of ancestral Peru. Thank you all for opening up your hearts to this transmission and this understanding that is the foundation of what we're here to do in evolutionary service to the great hoop of life.
Thank you so much, Don Oscar. What a luminous hour this has been. I want to thank all of our listeners and viewers for joining us. And Don Oscar, thank you so much for sharing your incredible teachings with all of us. I feel like we just got started, but thankfully we will take a deep dive beginning Wednesday, September 5th. Becoming a Shining One starts at noon Pacific. Again, please visit shiningonecourse.com to learn more or to register. And Don Oscar, those were some beautiful closing words that you just gave us. And thank you for the cleansing smoke with that beautiful feather. Do you have any final words for our listeners?
That if there are still many questions remaining, know that on our question and answer section at the end of each call, I will be available to lovingly saturate your inquiring minds. And it's all a dance. If you are in it to learn the true heart of shamanism, as understood by Pachacuti Mesa tradition service, you're in for a huge treat. Thank you for showing up, being present, showing your light unencumbered by doubt, fear, insecurity, and remaining open to the outcome, never attached. Highly.
And thank you to everyone who joined us today. On behalf of all of us at the Shift Network, I wish you well and look forward to having you on this course or in one of the future. Thank you.